We're back on Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Brenda Masson. We're speaking this morning with Chris from Guardians of Our Angels, Missing Persons Canada. And joining us in the studio now is Kim Everson. Kim has a business here in Stouffville and has been on the show before to talk about her son, Ben. And just to give listeners who haven't heard about Ben a recap, tell us about Ben.
Well, Ben is my son, and he's 31 years old, and back in July 11th, actually, was the last time I spoke to Ben. And since then, he has gone missing. He was seen July 12th at a bank in Ajax Pickering. That's where he used to live. He was evicted from his apartment, lost his job, and from then he took out his last $3 out of his bank account, and we haven't heard or seen him since. There's been sightings, lots of tips that came in, but all proven to be false. Even tips out as far as New Brunswick and tips out as far as Calgary, which all were looked into, and nothing has come from that. So we're still searching.
Wow. So how did you get in contact with Chris or Guardians of Our Angels?
It wasn't myself that reached out to him, but a friend of a friend sent him a message, and he reached out to us after he got the message. We had to have it reported to the police first. He had to been filed as a missing persons, which we had done. Yep. And then Chris did a podcast about him. Got some information from myself, Charlene, which is Ben's sister, Danielle, which is Ben's ex, and got a lot of information and did the first podcast. And from then we had been in contact all the time.
Okay.
Weekly,
so
sometimes
Chris,
daily.
Tell us about the podcasts.
First podcast we ran on Ben, and we just talked about who Ben was. What he means to this family, what he means to Kim and Bill and Shar, Carter and Chloe, and the facts of the disappearance, and try to draw up as much attention as we can in locating him. I think, how many have we ran now, Kim? 4 since then? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I've been on 2 of them with you, but I think, 4 or 5, I think, probably in total.
And so where do you put these podcasts?
They go up on our webpage, and we post them up on our Twitter page, and they're posted up on our Facebook pages, both our main page and our missing persons page.
So if people want to find out more about your organization and how it all works, where can they go to?
They can go to Guardians of Our Angels, Missing Persons Canada on Facebook, Guardians Canada on Instagram, GOA Missing on Twitter, GOA Missing Persons Canada.ca.
When people are looking for these missing people, like if someone's looking for Ben, do you stick mostly to Ontario because that's the last place that he was seen?
No.
Not necessarily.
The social media is phenomenal. I mean, we have people from all different provinces that follow us on our social media, so when we put something out through Guardians of Our Angels, it gets spread across Canada pretty quick.
And when you did the podcast too, like when we got that tip in Calgary, he did a podcast, and then he can boost it in a certain area, and he boosted it in the Calgary area. And we did get another tip that came in at that point when they saw that too. So,
well, I'm like I said, I'm kind of blown away by the fact that I didn't even know this whole thing existed until I spoke with Kim.
And neither did I until you need it, and thank goodness that we have it. So it's the people on the ground too. It's just not the people that do the podcast. Like, well, Chris and Renee, they came out and they organized a ground search, and they came along one weekend, and we covered a lot of ground, and we really put the word out because we hit a lot of missions and church functions that were going on at the same time, and a lot of people willing to help us. But they have other people, they have friends, they have truckers, they have lots of people on the road that keep their eye open all the time for the Guardian of Our Angels groups, and we do get a lot of tips even from them. And so I can even reach out to people on the ground, when Chris can't come, at least in Windsor, for heaven's sakes, he can't be jumping everywhere. But there's people around that I can still call for support and everything if I need help to go out look for something. And I got all those names and those contacts through the Guardian of Our Angels group, and it's been phenomenal. Like, we've reached out to so many people, and we're still haven't found him, but we're still hopeful. We are going to find Ben.
We'll find him, Kim.
Yeah,
we'll
I know
him.
we will.
So, Chris, your organization then is not just about, well, it's absolutely primarily about finding people, but it also seems that you have a bit of a support network in place for the people who have lost someone.
Yeah, we since we've started up, we've built a lot of contacts and a lot of organizations throughout Canada that are offering assistance to families that, unfortunately, their loved ones located deceased or they're still missing. We've made a lot of contacts. We've made a lot of good quality contacts that are reaching out to help these families, because again, there's a hole. There's nowhere for them to turn. I mean, I hate to say this, Guardians of Our Angels shouldn't have to exist.
Absolutely, you're right. Guardians of Our Angels should not have to exist, but the police departments are always talking about how they're underfunded, they don't have enough personnel, they don't have enough manpower to launch these massive searches. Take us through what a search looks like. When people, I've seen people before calling for a search, and I was involved in a search once, but it was only for a morning, looking for a kid who was missing up in Barrie at one of the public beaches. But that's really low scale. What is involved in putting together a search per se?
Well, first of all, you got to make sure that everybody you're working with and is volunteering for you is there for the right reason.
Right.
You want to make sure that they're looking for the missing person for the right reasons. I mean, searches, the thing is, it's a reactive approach, right? So you're constantly searching and you're reacting to tips and leads as they come in. I mean, we use programs and software that tell us where we've been, where we searched before, where we have posters up, where they're currently not up, so we can kind of keep track of if we're overlapping each other. And also the police departments, I mean, a lot of the cities, they go out and they do searches and they do groundwork. The problem with that, most people don't recognize that. A lot of citizens are quick to jump on police departments saying they're not doing enough. Well, they don't have enough training, enough funding, or enough manpower, like you said, to actually get out there and hit the ground every single day. There's too many missing people.
And they have to have a radius.
There's 1,214 people missing last year.
Yeah.
And they have 2 liaisons for missing persons. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, if somebody's actually in a car or truck and they're looking, like if I was looking specifically for Ben, that's one person to be looking for. But if I had a book beside me of 1,000 people that are missing, what am I supposed to do? Stand at Yonge and Bloor and go, no, it's not that one, it's not that one. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of people that are missing.
Yeah, it's an epidemic.
What would you do?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And we found that, like, there's search groups like ground search people out there, like search and rescue, but they have to have a certain radius, and they have to know when they were last seen within this certain radius. And like Ben, we don't have that. We don't have that with him. We, like, if we knew like last week or day before last or whatever he was seen at Yonge and Bloor, then they would do a big search of that area. But right now we don't have that with Ben. So if we get any tips at all, we follow them up definitely, and we follow every tip up, and we take every tip very seriously. And if the police aren't doing it, but most of the time they do it or do what they can, this is where we as a parent, of course, are going to be on it. But the Guardian of Our Angel groups, we reach out to the people on the streets, on the ground, and they come and help, and that's what it's all about. It's all about.
Okay, but I'm trying to put this in a practical kind of a way. You've got a group of people now who are out looking, and you're not looking in what I would consider to be desirable areas. No. You're looking in places where you tell your kids never to go. Like, do not go and
yeah.
play over there kind of thing.
Yep.
And that's where you're looking.
Yep.
So how do you keep your own people safe in situations like that?
We have safety protocols for
muscles.
guardians to make sure that, I mean, Kim knows we went into some areas that we probably shouldn't have been in, Kim?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, areas that you don't want to, you don't think you're ever going to see, but they exist. And we had people with us that we felt secure with, and we waited to go in when we felt that we were secure. And if anything started to just feel the wrong way, we would leave as well. But overall, it was not a bad experience as far as I'm concerned. Like, people were willing to talk and people were willing to help. And I think I said in the last interview, it's surprisingly that the people that are in tent cities and in homeless areas, they do have a sense of community, and they really stick together. And you know, if somebody comes in and they're looking for them because you love them and not because you're looking to hurt them or anything, they are willing to help you out and say, I think I saw him there, I think he's hanging around here. And again, we searched all that as well. But sometimes, even though, like, I think my son is unique in so many ways to me, he does have a very typical look for someone his age. And I've realized that even driving down the streets of Oshawa and Pickering and stuff, my head turned so many times thinking there he was. I was turned around and it wasn't him. So even though the tips are coming in, say, I think we saw him, or I think we've seen him here, I do get excited. So maybe this is the day and everything. But so far, it hasn't been him, because he wears his hat the same way as a lot of people. He wears his pants the same way. He has a little swagger the same way. But I'll know if anybody sends me a picture, which we have had pictures sent to us, and it wasn't him. But I can tell from the picture. But go ahead.
Chris, how do you sort through all of the information? Because I know Kim's had a lot of tips, and you're dealing with how many people are on your list, and you're getting tips all the time. How do you sort through all this stuff? I mean, it's a mammoth task.
Yeah, we have a pretty good team behind us. The rest of our admins are just all strictly volunteers, just like ourselves, and each one of the admins has their own cases they work on, so that we're not overlapping each other, and we go through every tip and every lead, and we make sure that we verify it and we vet it, and we either disqualify it or somebody's coming home today. And yes, it's hard to keep track of all the tips, but it's a very fulfilling task.
So do you have a lot of happy endings?
Yeah, we have a lot of happy endings. We've had we opened up the missing section of Guardians in May, and we've had 68 locates since May across Canada. Wow.
68 happy locates.
Happy locates. We've had 1, 2, 3 sad locates.
Since when?
But they came home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's some deceased, you know.
Well, yeah, and even if there is a death, which is just so unfortunate, at least for the families that are looking, it's closure.
There's closure, exactly.
Yeah.
You stop the search.
Yeah.
And there's people that are still searching after years. And
that's what surprised me the most. When I saw your post last week, Kim, I know you post every week, and now I'm looking for them, and I do share them every single week when they come in. What shocked me the most was the number of people I saw who are still looking. I've been a year and a half. I've been 3.5, 3 years, 4 months, 2 days, and 7 hours. You know, that they know exactly how long they've been looking. And I was astounded with the response on Facebook to the number of people who are also looking for missing loved ones.
Yeah. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I know how I feel. Like, it's been, over 6 months now, almost up to 7. And I can't imagine, I don't want to go. Like, I want to find him so bad. And I can't imagine going a year or 2 years, 3 years, like so many. And my heart just aches for them. It really does, because it's done a toll on me, done a toll on our whole family, but me especially, I feel. And I don't want to give up. I try and keep myself up all the time, and try and keep it hopeful. Every morning I get up and today's the day, and then at night it's like, well, if not today, then tomorrow, So I try and keep that going all the time. But there are days when you don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to think about it anymore, but it's there. It's a nightmare you wake up from nightmares, and it hasn't happened yet. I can't wake up from it. So, yeah, it's hard, and I can't imagine people going through for years of it. I don't know how they do it. So that's why we have to find Ben. Chris?
Yeah, right. I know.
And now, you know that some of these places that you have gone looking for Ben are dangerous places.
Yep.
So that's a whole culture then that you are immersing yourself in that's maybe not healthy for you either.
It gives you get an inner strength that you don't even think you have, and
you do.
And you go in because, like, if your son is in there, or your child, anybody, daughter, whatever, you gotta go in there, and you're getting them out. Yep. And so it's just, I'm not leaving without him. If I know he's in there, I'm going in after him. But it's just, you don't fear for that. I don't know whether it's the mama bear coming out for you, but I don't
It is.
I don't know. But it's just, it's a strength you get, and you get this adrenaline, and you go in and you do it. And
do you think that culture protects the people who don't want to be found? In that, if you went in there, you know how they say that you can smell a cop a mile off, especially if you're in that world. If you're in the world of drugs and things like that, they can just smell a cop. So you walk in there, and Kim, you look like somebody's mom.
Yeah,
you know, that's how you look. You're just a very nice looking lady who wouldn't hurt a fly. Chris, I have no idea what you look like, but you guys don't look like
He's a nice looking lady too.
You don't look like the people that are living in the tent city. They could spot you a mile off.
Yep.
Do you think that they almost put out a warning sign, hey, Ben, take off. People are looking for you. If you don't want to be found, you're out of here.
I never got that feeling. I don't know about you, Chris. Did you get that feeling?
I haven't got that feeling yet, no.
I had
most of the receptions, then they want to help.
Yeah, and the poster. Now, I guess it does happen. It does happen, but I don't think they would help somebody that just doesn't want to be found unless they needed him for a reason.
Right.
You know?
Do you think it helps that they know that you're looking? Because now that you've gone into the tent cities and people know that there are people out there looking for the missing persons, do you think maybe that through some avenue like that, you might find a missing person that you weren't really even looking for, because they may see Kim and think, wow, maybe my mom is that worried. Maybe I should just make contact.
I'm sure that's happened.
I'm sure that's happened too.
Absolutely, 100%.
Going to look for one person and then you find another. That's a bonus, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's networking at its best, I guess.
It is. It is.
Because I think sometimes
there's a lot of people out there that are forgotten.
Well, there's sometimes where
I
don't think the people who are missing realize how much they're loved, maybe.
No, you're right.
That's it. That's it.
And that turns back to the mental health problem we have in Canada. Sometimes people feel they have no other avenue, feel they're not loved, they feel they have no way out, and they just go escape the world.
Yep. And we're not totally positive that Ben hasn't fallen into that as well. But if it just boggles my mind, because we were in contact with him like all the time, and good or bad, it was always, we still spoke every day. And just for it to totally stop, what clicked to make that stop, or what happened to make that stop. And so was this a search? It's a search to find him, either help him, get him out of what he's in, or just find him and see if you want to live that way. That's your choice. You're an adult, but I want you better, so
there's no way safe.
And it's safe.
Yeah, even the knowing, just the knowing.
It's the unknown that's really hard.
There's a lot of cases throughout Canada where people have gone missing, and that people have actually walked into the police station and say they're safe, but they just want their own privacy. So those police departments go back to the parents or the families and say, we've located them, they're safe, but they don't want their location disclosed. None of the Privacy Act are entitled to that.
And I guess that's fine too, isn't it? I mean, as a parent, it would be heartbreaking, but you would still have to be respectful of that. But it would give you a peace of mind. It would give your soul a rest and a peace of mind, and to extend the invitation that whenever you're ready, you're always welcome home.
That's it. That's it. And that might happen with Ben. And the police, every time I talk to the police, they say, he may not want to be found, and if we do find him and stuff, and he doesn't want to be in contact with you. And I said, that's okay. I just need to know he's okay.
So if you had to give Ben a message right now, Kim, what would you say to him?
Call me. Just call me. You're very welcome to come home. You have a lot of people loving and missing you. Your daughter, who now talks, that you didn't know that she talked, is looking at your posters, and last week she looked at your poster and said, do you want to be my best friend? Which broke everybody's heart. So there's tons of people that want him back, want him safe. We want you in our life, Ben. Just make contact with us, please.
Yeah.
Well said. There's not much more you can say, right? It's beautiful. Yeah. And for all those people that you know, Chris, who are looking for their loved ones, what can we, as listeners of this show or listeners to your podcast, what can we do for you?
Well, what you can do for every family in Canada is talk about the missing, talk to their names, talk about the families, share their posts, share their pictures, keep an eye out. You never know, we've been on the phone for 1 hour right now, so just in Canada alone, in the last hour, 4 people have gone missing. You don't know. I mean, that's if you think about that, 4 young persons have gone missing and almost 6 adults in the last hour we've been on the phone. You just don't know who you're going to walk by and who you're going to see.
That's right.
And just talking about them at work and talking about them on the bus and in your small cities and in your big cities. Talk about the missing and forgotten. Somebody knows something out there about every single one of these cases, include Ben. And it only takes one tip, one person.
It's so important to share the post.
Yeah, so our share, viewage on Ben's would be 320, 330,000. The shares are just under 6%. So when people see a post, they're still not
passing
sharing it.
Yeah, passing
they're just
along.
Looking at it,
Yeah.
So the more you get the share numbers up and the more volume we can increase on social media and on the web, the better our chances are across Canada to bring them all home.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to share.
Yeah, it's so important to share. And sharing is what creates community. And if we've got the community and outreaching hands and eyes on the ground looking for these people, then maybe we will find some more of them.
Yeah.
It takes 2 seconds to share anything on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally,
it does.
we timed it. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So you can share 30 missing persons posts in 1 minute.
Wow. And
30
that's
families you can help in a minute.
Yeah.
And that's what your organization does, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay.
1 minute.
So let's tell people again how to get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you, Chris.
They can get a hold of us on Guardians of Our Angels Missing Persons Canada on Facebook, GOA Missing on Twitter, Guardians Canada on Instagram, and GOA Missing Persons Canada.ca on the web.
You know what? I'm really happy that we had the time to talk to you this morning.
Thank you.
So supportive of Kim. Kim, anytime you want to come in and talk about Ben, if there's a new lead, if you want to share with people, if you want to put the word out there, and then of course on my website, I've got people from all over the country and all over the world looking at Freshwaves. So we're happy to do whatever we can do and provide the links as we can, and we'll share Ben's story everywhere we can. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to be having Scott Duncan on Freshwaves. Scott's working with addicts and has a program where he works with a lot of addicts. He's in the jail systems, working in the jail systems. He has a number of connections, and he too is looking for Ben as we speak.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
And putting out the word in his circles. So we're going to have him on the show to talk about the culture, the mindset, the mental illness that is often behind the addictions that we have in our society. And we're going to keep this topic alive on Fresh Waves because I think it's very important that it takes a community to raise a child. It takes a community to find a missing person.
Wonderful. I agree.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
It absolutely does. So, Chris, thank you so much for joining us this morning and taking time out of
Brenda.
your work, and thank them for allowing you to come on the show this morning.
Yeah, no problem.
Take an early lunch. And
Yeah.
Kim, thank you for coming in again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brenda.
You've been listening to Fresh Waves. We've had a wonderful morning. If you need any of this information or you want to hear the show again, go to my website, freshwaves.ca, and you can hear the podcast again. And you can go to our Facebook page. Jay, how do people get us on Facebook and Twitter, just so that they can have more information if they have a tip for us?
Yes, you can go to Freshwaves with Brenda Masson on Facebook. We're also on Twitter at Freshwaves Radio, and we're also on Instagram as well.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Go out into the world. Keep your eyes on the people around you. Look for Ben. Look for the missing people and the missing loved ones in Canada, because people just want to know that they're safe. Have a great day, everyone. Take good care. We'll talk again next time. You've been listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Brenda Masson. If you'd like to hear this show again or missed any part of it, check out our podcasts at freshwaves.ca.